what? We're on episode 21 now of the hCG Diet Interviews. I have Stephanie with me today. She's lost 70 pounds so far with the hCG protocol, and we have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. One is she has a medical background in nursing, and she's actually been a part of seeing bariatric surgery and stuff like that. So we get to ask her some questions today, just comparisons, because some people have considered weight loss surgery, but then they happen to hear about hCG, so we can kind of hear her feedback on the two options today. So welcome, thanks for being with me.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to have you. So give us just a few little basic stats, like your age and height and all that stuff.
Okay, I am 44. I'll actually be 45 years old this coming September. I am 5'6", and my current weight is 186.
Okay, 186. And what weight did you start at?
I started at 256 pounds.
256. Okay. So how does that weight loss there, about 70 pounds, how does that translate as far as your clothing size change?
I think that's been the most dramatic. I've gone from a size 22 down to a size 12 now.
Wow, that is so amazing. That is awesome.
It's huge.
Yeah, that is huge. So tell me, with the 70 pounds, how many rounds have you done so far to lose that?
I have done 3 rounds. I started at the end of last September, and so I have done 3 rounds currently as of August 2014.
Cool. That's really neat. I mean, basically, so from September to now, which of course you haven't been on hCG the whole time, you've lost 70 pounds.
Yes, it's been amazing.
Was it 40-day type rounds, the 3 rounds?
The first round was the longest round that I did, and I did do 40 days my first round, but my 2 subsequent rounds have been 30 days each.
Oh, cool. Okay, great. So that's a really good accomplishment then. Maybe you could tell me about the low point that you had reached before you started the hCG protocol.
I think it had started almost a year prior to when I decided to do hCG. I had gone to Walt Disney World with my daughter, and I remember trying to squeeze into the airline seat, and then the entire time, of course, you walk hundreds and hundreds of miles while you're there, and my knees hurt, my back hurt the whole time that we were at Walt Disney World, and the same thing of trying to squeeze into the seat for my rides. And I'm 45, but I also have a 5-year-old and a 13-year-old. And so really the low point was thinking about my future with them. Quality as a parent could I be, and how active could I remain as a parent?
It's interesting you mentioned that too, because I think that's actually one of the things that kind of makes a lot of women, myself as well, start to think like that we have to make a change. I remember when my eating habits had gotten like so bad for a while, and my son, he was like 9 months old, so he'd be like in his car seat, and I'd go to Target and I'd buy this whole package of cookies, and I'd be eating them in my car, and it's like he'd be like, so I'd give him 1 or 2, and I knew that was good enough for him, like for now. But I was thinking to myself, in another year or 2, he's gonna be aware of what's going on. He's gonna want to be eating like me, and I was like, I cannot teach that to him.
Oh, I know my 5-year-old daughter always sits next to me at the dinner table, and she wants to, and now that I'm eating very, very healthy, she's so happy to be eating whatever I'm eating.
That's cool.
And even my son has picked up good habits as well. And so, yes, they used to see me go for seconds and even thirds at the dinner table. And I think about that now, and it's just, I don't want those habits passed on. And on top of that, as a nurse and teaching nursing in the clinical setting, I take students into a variety of hospitals every week, and I see our population of overweight, type 2 diabetes, and hypertension are skyrocketing. It's through the roof. And so I knew it was just a matter of 1 or 2 more pounds. God had been gracious, but I knew at any time I was going to cross over, and I was going to be hypertensive, and I was going to have type 2 diabetes. It was inevitable.
Yeah, it's just like that clock ticking, huh? You knew where it was headed, like if you kept up. I remember thinking the same thing, like when I would just be eating a lot of sugar, and I had a blood sugar meter, and I would check my blood sugar after I had consumed a huge amount of sugar, and it was like 140 something. Yeah, way too high for me, and it scared me, because it was like I couldn't seem to stop myself though. But I knew where it was leading. My whole family, like the whole side on my mom's dad's side, they all have died from complications of diabetes. They've all had it. So I was like, I
Yes.
have to make a change. And like you said, I love now that like pretty much all my son knows is healthy eating, that we don't have junk food in the house.
No,
I mean, he gets treats now and then, but it's like, it's pretty much
right.
set.
It's a fun, healthy treat that
Right,
he has no idea if it doesn't have a cup of sugar in it.
right. Yeah.
To them, it's still fantastic.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, since you mentioned with your nursing background, now why don't we talk about that now? Tell me like what your background is and then what you've seen as far as those different type of weight loss surgeries.
Absolutely. My background is as an opera. I teach nursing now in a university setting in a baccalaureate program. I'm working on my doctorates, but my background has been actually as an operating room nurse. I've worked everything from general surgery to open heart surgery. And the one of the first hospitals that I worked at actually did bariatric surgery. And so not only did I see the bariatric surgery, but I saw the complications that went along with some forms of bariatric surgery. And let me preface that by saying you can have, anything can go wrong with any type of surgery. But I would like to preface this by saying I had considered bariatric surgery. I was to the point in my weight loss journey before I found out about hCG. I didn't care about the side effects. I didn't care about the complications that it can occur with a gastric Roux-en-Y. I mean, you're going in and um, you're having major abdominal surgery. Let's just keep it simple like that.
Yeah.
And so, anytime you have major abdominal surgery, you can have bad things that can happen. You can have adhesions in your bowels. You can have bleeding. But long term, and what we have seen in nursing and in nursing care is the side effects from the bariatric. Some forms, not all forms, but some forms of bariatric surgery have led to low mineral levels, which have a whole nother side effect, and side effects, eating side effects. And so when we talk about bariatric surgery, most forms, not every form, but it's permanent.
Right.
You're thinking about doing a permanent change to your body that is not irreversible for most forms of bariatric surgery.
Right.
And so when we have the option now of hCG to get such dramatic results, and not temporary results, mind you, but permanent
Right.
results, I think that you owe it to yourself to always investigate both sides.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that because, like you said, with the surgeries not being reversible, it's like in certain cases you may need to consider it. But that is the nice thing about hCG is that that may work for you, and you will still be able to eat a normal amount of food when you're done. It's a big
Yes,
difference.
and another portion of looking at bariatric surgery and the permanence of it. I actually do hCG under the guidance of a good friend of mine who's a nurse practitioner and an RN first assist, and she actually worked hand in hand with the general surgeon and did many bariatric surgery, and then has been responsible for follow-up care. Well, her role now is she is helping these people that have had a permanent weight loss surgery who still cannot lose all of their weight. And so what is she helping them with? hCG.
There you go.
So yes, and so it 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 bears it would benefit you to investigate both sides before you ever decided to do something as dramatic as bariatric surgery.
Yeah, I agree with that. As far as like, with the background and everything that you've seen, what types of like medical conditions do you think um, would kind of basically go away if people could lose weight from being overweight?
Oh, our type 2 diabetes, hypertension. I mean, you can see dramatic reduction in hypertension with losing 10 pounds. And so when we're talking about, it really is, I mean, especially when you think about when we talk about, and I'm sure you have some recorded issues on the first round is always significant. You
Right.
know, it's always an amazing round. You have a lot of weight to lose, you have a lot of fat to lose. And so you're looking at, 20 to 30 pound weight loss. That can reduce your hypertension dramatically. I, almost not every person, and of course you have to follow the advice of your physician,
Right.
but you may very well be able to come off of your hypertensive medication if you lost 20 to 30 pounds. Depending on what type of weight loss you need, you could definitely see. And the same with if you're a type 2 diabetic and need to lose weight, that you could actually get your body back into where it can self regulate
And
with weight loss.
yeah, and that's so amazing too because I mean, there's so many side effects with taking medications as well, aside from the actual condition. So it's like kind of compounds. So if you can eventually get away from that, that'd be
Oh,
good.
absolutely. You owe it to your body definitely to try to lose the weight to get off of the medications. If those are the reasons that you're on a medication is because you're obese, then by all means. The side effects alone from your blood pressure medication can be constipation. You can actually develop low blood pressure, standing and rising based on the medication. So um, any times that we can get our body back into being able to self-regulate, we owe it to our bodies to try.
Yeah, I agree. So tell me now with your personal experience with losing this 70 pounds, how has that changed things for you? Like how you were feeling then and how you feel now?
Oh my gosh, I had gotten to the point where I didn't want to get off of the couch. I was literally exhausted. I teach nursing, as I said, and I'm very active with that. But I've also had a passion of ridden horses my whole life, and it had gotten to the point to where I couldn't advance any further in my riding because I had gotten so heavy, and my knees had started to hurt, and my ankles were swelling all the time,
Mm.
and I was just carrying a lot of because of the excess weight. I was carrying a lot of excess fluid all the time, and so my knees hurt and my back hurt, and so I hadn't wanted to move. And so now with the I've lost 70 pounds after the first round. I started boxing and kickboxing.
Cool.
I knew I needed to add activity back in, and so I got that weight off, and I thought I can do this, and so I started working out, and I started feeling great. And through my second round of hCG, I did boxing and kickboxing,
Wow.
and then at the end of this third round, I started doing CrossFit about 2 months ago.
Woo!
Yay, go CrossFit!
I can't stop talking about that. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
That's
No,
fantastic.
and so love it. I have worked out. So I have worked out through my last two rounds. I did boxing and kickboxing 5 days a week on my second round, and on my third round, I was still doing the boxing and kickboxing, and then I flipped over to doing CrossFit, and I've done that 4 to 6 times a week, and I did that through my third round
Wow. So that's
of it.
pretty significant. Maybe we can delve into that a little bit more,
Sure.
because I get that question a lot, like, can I exercise on hCG or not? And what I've found is that it really varies from person to person. So I could not handle it, but in your case, like, you were actually doing quite a bit of exercise while on hCG. So tell me, when you did that, how how did you experience the rest of the diet while doing that? Like, did you eat more than 500 calories, or how was your weight loss? Can you explain that?
My my weight loss through the second round was still very significant. I think I might have had maybe, I know we all go through stalls when we have it, but I don't think I ever saw a significant stall from working out. Being a woman, I think I had one a more associated weight stall, of course, um, during menstruation, right
Right.
before you start your period, is basically when you would see that time for weight stall.
Right.
But I didn't really see that with the hCG. If anything, I increased my protein a little bit, and so
Okay.
I might have gone up to like 130 140 grams of protein at a time. And
Okay.
if I felt really down, for me, I get by with using J-Rob whey protein.
Okay.
And so, I might have that in the morning if I was feeling a little bit low in the
Okay.
gas tank.
So you just have a shake of the J Rob
Hmm.
as like,
Yes,
would that be like a third protein then?
that would be a third protein for the day.
Good.
Yes.
And that's good. That's kind of often what I suggest to people who do want to keep trying to exercise through HCG is something like that, like adding a third protein or something.
Yes.
So
And I think with the HCG and with the exercise, like you said, and I know you've talked about and several times, is you have to listen to your own body,
right.
and you know when you are kind of exhausted and you've pushed it a little bit too far, then you just step back a little bit.
Right.
But I think at least get up and start walking. Don't just do the hCG. At least the time you get into your second round, it's time to get up and start moving.
Yeah. And it's true that like on different rounds, like some rounds I felt very fatigued, but then other rounds I actually felt pretty good. Like I had good energy. And so at those times I could do stuff like that, at least do walking and stuff. Cool.
Yes.
That's good. So overall when you did the exercise, your energy overall was fairly consistent. You felt okay.
Yes, I felt okay. I never felt really, really bad ever.
Cool. That's good.
I think you feel really good. I've always felt great doing the hCG rounds.
Awesome.
I've slept good and I've felt really good.
Good. It's interesting to hear people report, various things of how they feel in HCG. Some people feel great. Other people feel like, I feel like I'm pregnant again and I feel like irritable and, so it's just kind of interesting. But okay, so how long have you been CrossFitting now?
2 months.
Cool.
2 solid months of CrossFitting.
So I want to hear a little bit more about CrossFit now. Like when you started, I mean, I know it's only been 2 months, but have you seen any like improvements from start to now so yet?
I have seen dramatic improvements. Range of motion, you don't even realize the range of motion that we lose in our everyday life of just living and what you don't do anymore.
Yeah.
And when you see a little toddler squat,
right.
With their knees apart and with their bottom down, you're like, you don't think anything about it until you try to do it.
Yeah, and then you're like,
I can't do this. And so the range of motion, the strength that I've gained, my overall fitness level, I want to say, has increased dramatically. I mean, I look at some of the people in our gym, and of course, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to be there. But I also look at the fact that I did a 135-pound deadlift this week, and I started out at 55 pounds 2 months ago.
Wow.
So I see dramatic improvement with strength,
great,
flexibility, range of motion, and overall cardio level. Because of course, there's every day is different too when you go in to do CrossFit, and so you never know what you're going to find on the board, and the support in there that you can get, especially if if you're on a weight loss journey, and we find it so intimidating being overweight and trying to even contemplate working out again, that I believe most of the CrossFit gyms, the box is a very, very supportive environment. I have gotten nothing but support and encouragement. I'm usually the last kid on the block finished in my gym. Occasionally not, but I get cheered on all the time, and I get dramatic support. So I don't know. I'm a huge CrossFit fan. I see doing it for life.
That's cool.
I love it.
And I'm glad to hear you say that too, because sometimes people do, like you said, feel intimidated. So it's good to hear you say that you feel supported in there, because that's really what I've observed as well. Some people feel like they have to wait till they're like thin to work out, like at CrossFit, because there are a lot of really fit people at CrossFit. Like when I go there, there's a lot of really muscular, like amazing, like athlete looking people. So you feel like, oh, do I have to be like that, or am I gonna feel weird? But actually there is a whole other set of people that are just regular everyday people who are still losing weight, who still might be overweight, and I feel like I see the same thing, that they are supported. The other day there's a woman, she's trying to lose weight. She's been coming, and she's probably in her mid 50s, and you know, with burpees, like things like that, sometimes you have to modify, and that's totally okay. Like nobody makes you feel like a loser, you know. So she has joint issues, and so she has to kind of be on her knees. But you know, and like you said, she was finishing last, but she went till the end, and it's like the trainer guy, who's this like young fit guy. He did them with her like with her, like at her pace to
Oh my
finish
gosh. I
to
can't
support
even
her.
tell you, I can't tell you how many times, like out on some of the longer runs,
Yeah.
where there's a young high school cross country girl. She's come back out, finished hers, and come back out and
Oh,
run
cool.
my running with me. And I can't tell you how many times that has happened
That's
that
cool.
somebody has stuck it out, and they're always like, you can do this and you can finish. And yeah, there was some movements at first um, where he gave me a piece of PCV pipe and just to learn the movement. And
Right.
occasionally I'm still stuck with the bar and
Yeah.
learning proper form and movement. And granted, my weight has moved up even with that, but I just can't beat CrossFit.
Yeah.
You can't, hands down. For for overall fitness,
Right.
not just one piece.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one other thing. My body loves CrossFit. I am already developing muscle. It was like I always wanted to be that skinny girl. I always saw all these skinny girls. And I want to be skinny. I look at the CrossFit girls,
Yeah.
and I'm like, my family laughs. My husband, he's super supportive, and my mom and my dad are kind of like, "You want muscle?" I was like, "Yes, I want muscle like that."
Yeah. It's true. It changes your perception, right? Because I thought the same thing. I used to kind of always look at like the fitness magazines, which have very thin people in the front, and some people do have that body type, but I don't really have that body type. I've had more. I'm short. I'm stockier,
Yes.
and I agree. Like I used to be actually very thin in high school, and I still felt like I was fat because I still didn't look like those models. You know, now those women there, like I don't. I mean, I think at first I would have thought like, oh, they look a little muscular, but now I think it's very attractive because you know what that muscle can do. The
Yes.
guys think
How
it's cool too.
long?
Yeah, and so I feel so confident in my body now. Like I feel like I love how I look, and um, yeah, it's just changed my perception of myself and my body, which has been so healthy for my body image. You know?
Yes. No. I mean, I'm the same way. I like my lower legs have never been beautiful, and so I started doing the CrossFit, and I was like, wow, I'm already laying down muscle on the inside of my leg where I've never had muscle, and on the
Yeah,
outside of my leg. And so I'm like, my body really does love this.
yeah,
For me, for my shape, for my body type, I'm
yeah.
like, it's going to change me dramatically. I can't wait to even see a year from now.
That's cool. Now, one more question, and then I'll move on. I
Sure.
could talk about CrossFit all day, but so do you feel safe there when it comes to, because you know I tell people, you know, there's heavy weightlifting that is involved. Some people think CrossFit's extreme. So do you feel safe? Do you feel like they're teaching you proper form? What's your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Actually, the place that I go is called, I guess it's fine to say the name of it. I know
Sure.
they won't care. It's Core Fit, and it's owned also by people that own a physical therapy
Oh,
company,
cool.
and so it's owned by physical therapists. And so my CrossFit gym is very, very attuned to proper form, and so I'm supported 120% when it comes to proper form and taking care of myself. There comes a time too where you have to know your own limits, but you also have to know how to push yourself. And
Right.
I think for somebody that's been overweight and out of shape, you get both. Yeah. In a good CrossFit gym, you're going to be pushed every day. I think you're pushed out of your comfort zone when it comes to fitness at CrossFit
Yeah.
when you're new to it, because you're like, I certainly today I was tired when I went to the gym today, and I looked at the board today and I thought, I don't know if I can do that today.
Yeah.
Thought that to myself. And then I thought, well, okay, I felt this way one other time, but we got through it and I did it.
Good.
And so you have that support there. And I think nobody should be intimidated. Go try a CrossFit gym, and don't just try one, because every gym is going to feel a little bit different. you're going to find one that feels like home when you
Right.
walk in. But I haven't seen anybody walk into our gym that wasn't just embraced and part of the team.
That's cool. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing all that. So now let's move on. When it came to phase
Okay.
3, how did stabilizing go? You've had a couple phase 3s now. Three phase 3s, I guess. How did those go?
Yes. They've gone great. I've pretty much followed protocol for me and added things back in very, very slow. But after my first my first phase 3, I pretty much kept my second and third phase 3 the same. And so for me, I the end of my phase 3 the first time, I realized I had a gluten sensitivity.
Mm.
And so my weight became unstable every time I would have something with gluten. So I ended up taking gluten completely out of my diet.
Cool.
And my weight stabilized. And for me, I've kept a little bit of dairy in my diet, and so I've probably about the 10 to 15 day mark, I've been able to have a little bit of cheese. I've had a little bit of sour cream and yogurt, and I've done fine with. But then I stick mainly just to the proteins, to and my go-to vegetables of broccoli, cauliflower. Cauliflower is my go-to vegetable now for mashed potatoes, casseroles,
Cool.
whatever I'm needing.
Yeah.
And I use a lot of bison. I use bison in P2, and so bison just increases in P3, as well as my chicken. I do some pork tenderloin in phase 3, and my weight has stabilized every time with no problems. But I am very, very careful and try to go very, very slow.
Gotcha.
That is the hardest thing, and that is the best advice I can give is be patient. I know it's not that you're hungry, you're just hungry for taste of other food. So, but be patient, and it'll come.
So when you say that going slow, do you mean both calories and food groups in phase 3? Slowing, gradually adding both, or?
I think just food groups. I have increased my calories dramatically in that
Gotcha.
first week, and not had any problem with
Gotcha.
it. I mean, it takes some effort, I think, to get in 1,600 calories that first week. You're just not that hungry.
Right.
And so I track. Uh, I use.
Yeah, that's right. You told me that website.
Yes.
Lose It? Was it loseit.com?
Yes, loseit.com. That's how I track my food. And the other cool thing about that, if you track your food like that, you have that to go back to through each phase. And so you can go back to those months and still look at those days and look at your food. It keeps a record of your food that you enter. It keeps it's right there, and it's so easy to enter.
Great. So now you mentioned that, like with the dairy, you added that in sometime around day 10 or 15 of P3. Is that right? Which sometimes. So
Yes.
when you would start P3, what were the main food groups you were eating at that point?
Okay, I stick to my vegetables and my proteins.
Okay, so pretty much just vegetables.
Stick to vegetables, protein, and adding in coconut oil.
Coconut
in
oil.
everything.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Were you eating any like nuts or fruit or no? During that?
I have. Almonds have been a go-to for me,
Okay.
and I've never had any problem with them. And
Cool.
so there's a couple of brands of even like chocolate infused almonds. It's just dark chocolate, and they're just infused with that.
Cool.
And those are kind of my go-to snack.
So do you remember what brand those were, or what?
I did Sprouts.
Okay.
And your Whole Foods will carry some in their bulk section.
Gotcha.
That you're able to get. And then I can't remember the name of the nut company. One of the major nut producers makes a really good one as well.
Cool, cool. So you use those for like a treat or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah, when I want something. And another thing I add back in at that time, I think I had told you about, that they're packed with virgin coconut oil, and it's by Hail Mary. And so it's little chocolate macaroon.
Cool.
And very healthy, packed with lots of coconut oil, and I eat those. And those are my go-to snacks.
Cool.
Too.
Are those P3 friendly?
Those have been P3 friendly for me.
Awesome.
I have not had any problem with those.
Cool. Very good. What's it sweetened with?
I'd wait till probably about the 15th day, the end of my second week for those. but then I easily add those back in.
Gotcha. Cool. So it sounds like you're very strict the first like week and a half, 2 weeks of P3 where it's like meat and veggies.
Yes.
And then you start adding in a little dairy, or like you said, you had coconut oil, and then you start adding in a little
And
few other things.
and eggs.
Cool.
Eggs. I also add back in avocado. That usually that first day. I
Cool.
usually do eggs and avocado for breakfast.
Cool.
And so I add those back in and have had no problem with those.
Awesome. Great. That's good. And so in doing all of that, your weight has like stabilized within a few pounds of your LDW. Is that how it went, or?
Yes, I have stabilized. This time is so funny. Your article on crossfitting and stabilizing was perfect.
Oh, good.
100% timing.
Good, good.
Because I did stabilized about 3 to 4 pounds over where I ended up at, but I was crossfitting, and so I was like,
yeah,
I will not panic. I will not do another steak day. I will be okay.
Yes.
And so it's remained very, very stable from that point. But this last time after the CrossFit, it peaked just a little bit, and I went back and I read that article, and I thought, okay, CrossFitting and those go together.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's so true. It's like that's the whole purpose of it. So it takes up space on your body. It weighs something, you know. So it's funny how we can end up fighting ourselves sometimes because of the number on the scale. But
I think I know. I don't know if it's where it's at in asking questions, but so I started out as far as by the book as far as my body fat percentage or my BMI. I never had it tested when I started, but I went back and I looked at BMI and our weight, and so I had started somewhere in the area of like 39 to 41 for a BMI, and then I did the DEXA testing at the end of this round, and it was, I think I told you, 29%
body fat, right?
29% body fat.
Cool.
Yes, which is amazing.
It is. No, that's fantastic. And for anyone else who's not aware of what a DEXA scan is, it's currently like basically the most accurate way you can have your body fat tested outside of being dead and you know yeah, so yeah. Yeah, so it's cool. It's like this thing I've had a couple done before. It scans your whole body. Usually they're actually used to check your bone density, but now they can use them to check your body fat, and it actually will tell you like how much fat you have like on everywhere in your body, like your right arm, your left thigh. It's really pretty interesting. And one thing I have found is that since I've done a lot of hydrostatic body fat tests too, I found that the DEXA scan is higher. Like I would get a higher result as far as the body fat percent. And I know I mentioned this too.
That's good news for me.
Yeah, I mentioned that too. It was actually a few percent higher, so it's actually very possible that your body fat percent is 27%, or you know, it's very according to like hydrostatic. So it's kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah.
But of course, DEXA is more accurate. It's just that as far as like the way the industry, you know, online compares, you know, they use the hydro more as the way for comparison. So, but yeah, that's great. I mean, 29%. That's doing great.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do another round probably in October.
Cool.
I will have been off from like the middle of June first to start at 4th round, and so at end of September, 1st of October, I'm gonna do my 4th round.
Cool.
And I'm gonna do the DEXA again right before I do that. Good. With the crossfitting. And I'm gonna continue to CrossFit through that round as well.
Good. I hope it goes good. Can you tell me how your eating habits have changed from then to now? How's that different?
Absolutely. That's probably been the most dramatic change. I used to be hungry all the time, and so I would drive through, and it would be nothing for me to order a hamburger, 2 orders of fries, and eat that, or to eat fast food anytime I was hungry. And since I did my first round at hCG, I don't eat fast food at all anymore.
Cool. Cool.
I drink nothing without, I don't drink any pop. I don't drink any soda. I don't do any of the additives anymore in my water even, except for a natural oil that we can talk about in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I eat clean. And so what does that mean? It means that I virtually make all of my food. You know, I've got one restaurant that is a go-to backup by my work, but they make fresh food. And
Cool.
so they'll grill up some chicken and peppers for me and an avocado, and I can have that. But if
Cool.
it's not fresh and it's not made fresh, I don't eat it. I've taken out uh, all of my, I've been experimenting a little bit with no grains.
Cool.
And so I've taken out all of my pastas and stuff. I use spaghetti squash as my go-to for pasta now. Boy, I just eat clean, no refined sugars. So when I want a treat, I have the Hail Marys. I have Lily, the brand Lily makes a chocolate bar with stevia, and so I do have that occasionally. But I'll have a few pieces of chocolate and some of my chocolate almonds.
Cool.
It's like having an almond joy.
Cool.
And so I eat clean, and if I don't have something to eat clean, I don't grab something. I'm not gonna die if I don't have food within a 5 hour period, you know. And so I don't live with that constant pressure of I have to eat all the time.
Gotcha.
I used to have that just constant hunger. That's gone away. And I don't have that mental fatigue of I have to eat or I have to eat or I have to eat. Today, in fact, I was trying to get a paper done working on my doctorate. I I need to do some cooking. And so I'm low on food. And so it's like, okay, what do you have to eat? Well, I have some eggs and some avocado until I can get some cooking done this evening. And so it's about eating clean. Oh, and being busy and being a nurse, it does mean that I have to do food prep now.
Yeah, talk about that.
Yes, and so I might make up 2 pounds of bison, ground bison. I'll use that in stuffed peppers. I'll use it for spaghetti. I'll have it with salt on it. I'll make it with tomato paste. I'll have it a variety of ways, and I might make it even like a soup with it with broth. And so I might make up a pound of chicken. I might cook up onions and peppers. And so I always try to have something, or my grill is right outside the door. I always have something I can throw in the grill. Can I throw on a lean flat iron steak? Yes. And so a steak, a pork chop, anything. Yeah. I think I told you the first time we spoke that I'd been starving that day. I got up, I had I cooked up, I had boiled squash. So my squash was already made up. I threw a steak on, made that steak, and that's what I ate when I was hungry. That's Instead cool. I used to would have eaten a frozen burrito, thrown it in the microwave, and that's what I would have had.
Gotcha. And you know, it's kind of funny. Even though like in some cases it does take more time to cook healthy food, in other instances I've found that it actually is the same or even less time in certain cases. It's like the time it takes me to like to go drive to a fast food place and get the food and come back, or you know, I can make my kale salad that I love. I can make it. I think I timed it. It took me like 2 minutes and 40 seconds. And that was to chop up an entire head of kale, add pine nuts, and I actually do eat dried cranberries, which have a little sugar, but I'm in phase 4, so it's okay. And my dressing that's homemade. And I literally like 2 minutes and 40 seconds for, you know, and it's very filling and I love it. So sometimes it's just making that transition and like you said, finding what you can do, like with the grilling the meat thing. Cooking a steak doesn't take that long.
It's so funny because I have never eaten a lot of fish, and one of my very good friends is a gourmet cook, wonderful cook, and so she's told me, she's like, well, we will go shopping this week. We will pick out 3 pieces of fish, you know, a salmon, white bass, and something else. And she said, I can show you how to have that made in 10 minutes. Cool. And you will love it. And she was like, I can even show you how your kids will love it. Cool. Over rice. She said, you don't eat it over rice? Not a problem. You can steam some broccoli with it. But she was like, give me this week, spend 2 hours with me, and I can show you how to make 3 pieces of fish in 10 minutes.
Awesome. Yeah.
3 different kinds. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I think, probably, I don't know, it's probably on both sides. For me, I've never cooked much or had time to cook. And so here I am at 45, learning how to cook healthy, but I'm completely okay with that.
Yeah.
Completely okay with that.
When you were, eating fast food before HCG, could you picture yourself like taking that time out to cook on a regular basis? Could you have pictured that then?
Never. No, never. Or if you'd have told me that in the middle of my Sunday afternoon after church, maybe for me, like while I'm working on my doctoral work or something, that I would also have the oven, the stove going, and I would be cooking up two different types of meat at one time while multitasking,
Yeah.
I would have never have done it.
Yeah.
And now I do it all the time.
And it's just a groove you get into, right? It's just,
Yes, absolutely.
and I really feel like HCG helps you kind of get started on that a little bit because it's like you have to cook on HCG to
Yes.
follow the
Oh, you know
protocol.
what? I hadn't thought about that, but that is so correct. That you do. It starts you back in the cooking process, and you have to prepare. And that's my friends that ask or talk about have just even briefly asked about HCG. I'm like, you just for me when I'm in phase two, I cook up a ton of bison, cherry tomatoes with some balsamic vinegar, and those are already pre-made in the refrigerator in their little container with their little 100 grams.
Cool.
And my chicken I put on skewers and I grill that. And so my chicken is right there. And it gets you back in the habit of cooking and making
cool.
your food.
How many meals at a time would you sometimes make on phase two in advance like that?
Oh my gosh.
Like how many servings?
8 to 10.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very
8
nice.
to 10, most definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally think that, and then like part of it too is like when sometimes when you start the diet, you think, well, I could do anything for a few weeks, so like I could cook for a few weeks, and you might not really be thinking at the time that you're gonna keep doing it after, but after you've done it for a few weeks, it starts to become a habit. It doesn't feel so hard anymore. So then you're like, well, why would I go back to what I was doing? Like I'm gonna keep doing this and maintain and.
Right, absolutely. It becomes easy. It really, I preach that all the time to various friends about HCG that it really changes your mindset and it helps change your habits.
Right.
Those are the biggest thing is it changes your mindset and it changes your habit. It's actually sitting across from me. I can't get it right now, but I have a metal 1 liter bottle that I fill every day. I have about 3 different sorts of them, but I drink 2 to 3 of those a day. Okay. But if I don't have that bottle, if I didn't have it, I wouldn't drink it. And so again, it's just another habit. I stick my lemon oil in it, my Young Living lemon oil.
Why don't we talk about that now? Yeah,
sure.
You add that. She adds something to her water that makes it yummy. That's healthy. So go ahead.
Absolutely, it's Young Living essential oils, and so they've got citrus, lime, lemon, and they're fantastic. And so they're pure oils. I mean, the purest form that you can get.
Like food grade, right? Yeah.
Right. And so I put a couple of drops in all of my water, and so it gives it flavor. The oils are really, really good for you. Lemon actually helps detoxify your body. Cool. And so it's really, really good for you.
Awesome. Yeah. So we'll have a link to that in the blog post for if you guys want to check those oils out. We'll have a link to the company. So I thought that sounded neat.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So now you've also dabbled a little bit now with a little bit of intermittent fasting, which is something else I'm a big fan of. So I wanted to hear your feedback on that.
I think it has mental and physical benefits to it. I think mentally it just reiterates. I do like the 16 to 20 hour fast when I do it. And I think it just reiterates to my mind that I'm not going to die without food, that it's okay that you don't wake up first thing in the morning and have to eat something. And so it just kind of reiterates that to me. And then physically, I just feel better by doing it. If I even see like a pound spike or something, it also gives me the mentality to eat cleaner the rest of the day. So I have fasted that long. So when I do go to eat, I'm going to eat something healthy. I'm just going to continue that good habit throughout that day. And so some of the days that I might do it, maybe the days that I don't CrossFit on, that I get up and I need to eat definitely a little bit cleaner that day. And maybe not quite as high a calorie content because I'm not CrossFitting. Sure. And so I think it's a good physical and mental thing to do.
Yeah.
And I feel good doing it.
I do too.
It's not I do a ton.
Right.
But, once a week probably at least that I do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I found it to be a great tool in that way too. Like you said, once a week. Sometimes I might only do it once a month, but sometimes once a week, and I feel actually very alert on those days, and I get a lot done because I'm not like having to worry about making food or eating it, you know. So, and what the other thing that I love about it, I don't know if you experience this too, but like say I've kind of gotten into like a thing where maybe I've been eating slightly not as good as usual and it's not as clean or something and I feel like I'm kind of craving that. If I do a fast day, it makes me crave clean good food. Like when I'm done with a fast, I don't want junk food. I want broccoli, a steak, like
Yes,
that's what I'm actually craving.
absolutely. That is what I'm craving. And that's usually what I'll end a fast day on is something really good. It's like you have that to look forward to in your mind too.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna cook up for me like pork tenderloin tonight, and maybe do a cauliflower casserole. And so I look forward to eating clean like that, especially ending a fast day like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You know,
great.
I one other thing that I wanted to give credit to,
Sure.
and I think everybody needs a Fitbit.
Oh, sure. Go ahead and talk about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um, that really gives you a reality to how much you move and how much you don't move. And it holds yourself accountable and it's just personal. You don't have to share it with anyone. And then it's fun. It becomes a game.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to hit 10,000 steps today. I'm going to park in the back of the parking lot when I go to Walmart because I want my 10,000 steps.
Cool.
Or I'm going to take the stairs at work because I want my 10,000 steps. And so you just find yourself moving a lot more.
That's cool. Does it track your calories at CrossFit?
Yeah. It does not.
Okay.
It does not track your calories. I think you might have a way that you can upload that, but I have never done that.
Okay, because I thought there was some device that like supposedly could track like every calorie you burned or something.
Look at the app really quick. I have it right here. It
Oh,
syncs
sure.
to your phone.
Yeah, I was curious.
Smartphone. It syncs to your smartphone.
Cool.
And yes, you can. You can track. Let's make sure that it has.
There might be different models too. I don't know of the Fitbit. I don't know.
I think it does. I can't find it immediately. Oh, here we go. CrossFit.
I mean, it seems like that'd be pretty hard for it to really gauge accurately or not. I just had done some research, like supposedly there was some device, and I don't remember what it was, but like it somehow could measure like the heat coming off of your body that could then accurately translate it into calories burned, or I don't know. I thought that sounded interesting.
I think one of the biggest things with the CrossFit and comparing it to, okay, so like I would get a lot more running or miles in when I was boxing because it usually involves quite a little more running even than and so much more cardio.
Yeah.
But I think what you have to remember is I'm always amazed after you do the heavy weightlifting, how spiked your heart rate is, and then you're laying on that muscle, which does burn more calories in the long run.
Right.
And so I think you have to keep that in mind. But I haven't figured out a way to measure that. You'll have to share if you find something.
Yeah, I know. It sounds so neat to me. I'm always curious about that. Yeah, and I agree. Like, I feel like I can eat fairly freely calorie wise because of CrossFit. I have 12 more pounds of muscle, 12 less pounds of fat since my third round. Like, I did 2 more rounds after that, and then I was CrossFitting in between. So it's like that's what those last two accomplished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think it's made a big difference. Yeah, I feel like I can eat. I mean, I don't count calories. I don't like to do that. So, but I'm glad that I don't have to. It's nice. It's nice if you don't want to that you don't have to, ideally.
Right.
So, cool.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for being with me today. I really appreciate all the feedback.
So much.
And so how much further are you hoping to get?
I'm hoping to do at least 2 more rounds. I'd like to essentially see at least another 20 to 25 pounds gone.
Cool.
Theoretically, in my mind, and so hopefully 2 more rounds of hCG, and I'll be there.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to do a re-interview and check back in with you when that time comes.
You have to check back with me.
That sounds good.
Yeah. How many pounds did you lose on how much did you lose on the last 2 rounds of hCG that you did?
My fourth round I only did for like that was the only round that I did, a 3 week round. So it was the only short round I did. And that round I actually only lost like 7 pounds. And I
Right.
still don't know because I actually attempted to keep CrossFitting that round. And I only did it like the first 2 or 3 days of the diet. But when I did that, like my weight loss stopped dead right at the beginning of the round, which is pretty uncommon. Like
Yes.
usually the first week you will lose fairly well, and I literally didn't lose any weight for like 10 days. Like
Oh my gosh.
after like the third or fourth day. So
Yeah.
it's I have some health stuff, so that's why for me I think it's possible that it was really too much, and maybe
Yes.
my body was like too
Yeah.
much. Like
No.
no. So that's why I don't know if that was the cause of that round being like very low, that. But anyway, so yeah, so I only lost 7 pounds that round, but that was also the round that my legs totally changed shape. Like, so like my body shape changed more drastically, I noticed,
Yay.
you know.
Hey,
So that was interesting. And then
I'm
my
excited to hear that because that's the biggest change that I'm waiting for now.
yeah, the first 3 rounds, my legs like they were getting smaller, but they still had the overall
Yes.
same look.
Yes.
And then after round 4, even though I was like getting over the like, okay, 7 pounds, I'll take it. But then I'm like staring at my legs like one day, and I'm like wearing shorts, and I'm like, hey, my legs look pretty snazzy. They actually look really attractive. And
Right.
I've never thought that. So they actually had this curve to them that, like, because some fat had been lost, that gave them a curve. So,
Yes.
so that was
Well,
nice.
fantastic. Okay, I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
and then actually my fifth round, it was a long round, and I lost, I think, 17 pounds. But it was a little bit like superficially high because I didn't eat any fruits on that round. So I did have to stabilize higher,
Right.
because of that, because of the glycogen stores. So it is true, I think, when you're getting down to the last bits that it can come off slower. But I do think it makes less pounds makes a much more drastic change on your body, though. So
Yeah. Yeah, that
so I
change
think
in
it's
shape.
okay.
Yes, that change in shape that you're talking about. And I think that might be a little a reason why I stabilized a little bit higher with the crossfitting was I took out pretty much all carbs at that point in time. I even
Mm,
quit. I was doing the gluten-free van crackers
gotcha.
in my third round, and I quit doing those as well.
Right, and that's good that you mentioned that because I actually have a post. I think it's already up, but maybe it's not. I don't know. I have so much going on. I have so many draft blog posts, but I have an article talking about if you do phase 2 without fruits, that you will most likely have to stabilize outside of the 2 pound window because of the
Yes,
whole glycogen store thing. So, and that's
right.
totally okay. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I can live with that.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much, and I'm really excited to check back in with you in several months or whatever.
All right.
Thank
Perfect.
you.